Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Run It Back, episode number 19. I love that count. Every time it goes up, it makes me a little bit happy. I'm your host, Menelik Fernandez, and I like to start every episode with the same little blurb. I want to give a special thanks to the Rising Coaches Network for continuing to connect myself and other coaches with the opportunity to speak to other coaches and share the game and get better, learn, and interact with each other. They are now bragging about 1,500 members and pretty much the largest coaching tree in basketball. And then, of course, I like to introduce sort of the premise of this show for anybody who's joining us for the first time. Basically, with Run It Back, we take teams that have played previously and we run back the game, so to speak, from the perspective of one of the games. From one of the teams, and we talk about what worked during the game, what adjustments were made, how the preparation was done, just like what they saw. And hindsight is 2020, as they say. So basically we're just shooting the breeze with other coaches. Today we are talking about Saint-Chamond versus Blois. I'm not going to say that correctly. I'm sorry. And this is actually a bit unique because of a couple reasons. First, this is the first game we're tackling that has happened after lockdown and restrictions. So I'm super excited to talk about some recent basketball. That's kind of fun. And then this is also unique because this is the first international pro game that we're going through. We are very fortunate to have Coach Maxime Nelaton joining us today, who is an assistant coach, the lead assistant coach with Saint-Chamond. Max has been with Saint-Chamond since August of 2018 as their lead assistant. He's had the chance to take part in their French national U15 team campaign in 2019, where he served as a video coordinator. And Max had an incredible professional career playing for 7 different organizations over 14 seasons as a point guard, where he was named team captain in 7 of those seasons. So Max, super grateful for having you on. Thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk basketball with you and all the Rising Coaches community. And you would make a great agent because I was.
Remains to be seen. It's subjective or whatever, but your career went far past mine. So you get the tip of the hat from me, sir. Good job. So I like to start with planning usually for games, but before we get into that, just because you're the first international pro team that we're dealing with on this show, give me a little bit of a rundown in terms of the structure of, like, you guys are the second tier division, but talk a little bit about, like, this game is we went through some of these questions this morning when I was talking to you, but like for those of us who don't understand the structure of what the league is and the value of cup games, kind of give us a breakdown of how that works, please.
Okay, so we're in the French second division, so we don't have the European Cups. Instead of that, we have this competition they call Leaders Cup, where we start the season with that. Um, it's basically about 6 to 8 games. I can't remember. We already out, so I can't remember. Uh,
Sorry.
6 to 8 games where it's win or go home, basically. And
Okay.
you win the whole thing, you're guaranteed a spot in the playoff at the end of the championship, which starts later. So if you win the whole thing, like I said, you're automatically in the playoffs, except if you finish within the bottom 2 teams um, in the championship.
I
In
see.
this occasion, you move down. In this case, you move down.
So what, like, just for the viewers, when you say that the championship, that refers to like your league play,
Yeah, the regular season, Pro B regular season.
right?
Yeah,
And then the cup, if you're a middle of the pack team, it's really favorable to you to win the cup overall because then you get a guaranteed spot in.
exactly. But this cup exists since, I mean, I don't know exactly, but maybe we've been playing this league for like 8 to 9 years, but it happened just once that a team who didn't qualify for the playoff within the championship got the automatic beat. It happened just once.
Interesting. So, and then the other thing is obviously in the Pro B League, the incentive is to finish as the top two teams so you can move up. And the thing you want to really avoid is finishing in the bottom two so that you don't move down type deal.
So it's almost correct. You have to avoid the bottom two spots to avoid moving down, but the the leader at the end of the regular season automatically move up first division.
Right.
And from 2 to 9 or 2 to 8, if the winner of the Leaders Cup is out of the first 8 teams, gonna make the playoff, quarterfinal, semifinal, and the winner of the playoffs is moving up with the
Nice.
regular season champion.
Thank you for the breakdown. I understand it a little bit better because it's very much not how basketball is played at the college level here in Canada. So appreciate that. So first game back, long time off. And, we talked a little bit before we got online about like the protocols that you guys had to go through, but let's talk about like the basketball preparation. Did guys show up out of shape? Did guys show up not ready to learn because they'd been off of it for so long? Talk about the professional aspect or the dynamic. And then if you could talk a little bit, well, a lot about the actual game preparation for this one.
Okay, so we came back on practice on August 4th. I mean, August 6th, because from 4th to 6th, we had all the medical testing. And when we were cleared, we started practice on August 6th. So it was basically a 9 week and a half of preparation, preseason.
Wow.
It's a long preseason. Yeah, it's a long preseason. We have a chance for that. So we're trying to take advantage of it. And it was the first game after a week of quarantine. Like we talked about it.
Right.
Before, but we had 2 guys who tested positive. And so before this game, we had 2 days of practice coming out of a week of quarantine.
So what do those practices look like? And what, playing this team, obviously you played them a couple times in regular season the year before. You mentioned to me as we were talking that you had a bit of a relationship with them. You carried a good relationship with them. And that being said, how do you scout your first game? No, you haven't seen any of the action the other team's running. What's that scouting process look like for you guys?
So the scouting process for this game was very simple. We were still into the preseason for us.
Right.
So we played this game and we wanted to be strong on our principle. We didn't really want to take care of the opponent. Of course, we knew their tendencies, but we didn't say anything to the players. Okay, so we were trying to be strong on our principle because we were just implementing them at practice, and so it was a way for us to see how we react and how it goes in game against another opponent. Because even if we play a lot live at practice, it's not the same when you play against someone else. And
right,
you
for sure.
Sets and all that stuff.
So that being said, what are those practices, those 2 or 3 look like? You mentioned you want to implement your principles. What are your principles, and what were you really enforcing going into this one that you wanted to work on?
Going into this one, we wanted to be good and clean on the weak side defense on the ball screen. We were playing 2 different coverages on ball screen. We were playing flat edge and ice defense, and we wanted to be clean on that. We put an emphasis on that on defense, and we wanted to control the point guard because he had a couple of 10 assist games. We didn't scout the game, but we watched them. This team had maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 preseason games before that one.
And oh, wow.
Yeah, and so did we. And we watched all of them, and we just wanted to control him. He had a couple of 10 assist efforts. We wanted to control him. I think it's number 45. And yeah, we just wanted to be good on us. Don't let them run because that's what they like. And it's a team that shares the ball a lot. and they are known for that. Just to put the thing in context, this team has finished as the regular season leader twice over the last 3 years.
Okay.
Last year, nobody moved up because of COVID, but they were first. Um, the year before, they had a down year. They finished maybe seventh or eighth, which for them is a down year. And
Right.
the year even before, they won it all, and they couldn't move up because of money restrictions.
Oh no. So perhaps they're playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder, so to speak. How many players do they return, and how much? Like you mentioned, you watched all of their preseason games. I was unable to find those on the schedule. So, watching those preseason games, how much of that is for, like you said, you didn't really share stuff with the players and you didn't really scout. Is that your normal process, or is
No,
that something you're only doing because it's early in the season?
no, it was before it was early in the season, and early in the season we want to take care of ourselves, and even later in the season it's our priority.
Right.
We want to be good on what we have to do. Of course we scout, of course we do some we go through some walkthroughs in the morning. We show our team some opponents plays and players tendencies, but we're not gonna drastically adjust. We're gonna make a couple of adjustment, whether that's halftime or like just a couple things. But especially early in the season, we want to be us. We want to have an identity, and we don't want to change from game to game. We want to build the foundation. Once those foundations are built and strong, and we can rely on them, maybe we're gonna adjust. But on the adjustment section, what we're gonna do is that we're not gonna adjust to be less intense. What I mean by that is we're not gonna retreat. Let's say if we are like an aggressive ice, we try to play an aggressive ice defense. We're not gonna drop.
Right.
We feel like the message that we send to our players is let's be less aggressive, and that's not what we want. So maybe we're gonna adjust on a couple of things like blitz a ball screen, trap inside, cut a passing lane. We are a gap defense, but sometimes on some guys we're gonna cut the passing lane, not be in a gap on certain personnel. It's always gonna be on an aggressive mode. The message we're gonna send is never we're gonna be less aggressive on this game. Never.
Interesting. So that's like one of your core principles, you would say, like always being aggressive, always being assertive, going after it, and you're not going to diminish on that at all.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are your principles sort of on offensive rebounding and the pace that you want to play at? Like how many are you sending to the glass, and what speed did you want to establish in this game?
So in this game, we wanted to play our speed, but we kind of play the same speed than Blois does. So we wanted to be us. We didn't want to slow down because that's not us. If we walk, we're not going to be efficient. We don't have the players to be good on the half court. We have to score a lot of points on open court.
Okay.
We're not going to slow down. We're not going to rush things because it's always this. It's a debate, but you want to play fast, and everybody wants to play fast. But at some point, if playing fast leads you to take bad shot, it's not good to play fast. You have to play fast, but while you're doing that, you still have to take good shots, right?
So could you define that for me a little bit? And that one is one we cover a lot on this show, but like, do you use the typical shot spectrum? And is there any sort of excuse me, is there any sort of punishment playing at your level for taking bad shots? Like, is playing time diminished? Are people yanked in games? And like, how do you reward good shots in practice, so to speak?
No, we're not gonna have punishment for a bad shot because even some bad shot can get in the basket. So we feel like punishment is gonna take your confidence out.
Right.
So we don't want to punish, but we're going to reward good shots on film. We're going to have film on the past game every Tuesday morning.
Okay.
And we're going to reward that. Like we have some core principles like moving the ball quickly, and we drill that every Monday night. We drill that, moving the ball, because the ball movement, the body movement for us is going to lead to good shot. The good shot is going to be an open shot. Of course, you're going to prefer an open three than an open catch and shoot two. Okay,
So
but
there is a bit of the shot spectrum that
the
gets in
shot
there.
spectrum is going to change from one player to another. Like, for example, we have one player in our team who masters the mid range. But when I say masters, he masters it. Like, he's going to be able to take one or two dribble, get into contact, fade away. Is a guard, but he's very efficient on that. So if we say to our entire team, we don't want the mid range, we don't want the mid range, no mid range. If you take a mid range, you're out. All of a sudden, we're going to cut 50% of his game.
Right.
And we don't want to do that. So the shot spectrum is going to depend on each person.
So would it be fair to say that like you kind of adhere to the typical shot spectrum, but you're not taking away from anybody's game, so to speak? Like there are shots that you prefer over others, but it's just a preference. It's not a way of life, as some
Yeah,
coaches say.
exactly. And for us, we were talking about transition. A transition three is a good shot, but it has to be open.
Right.
And it's not going to be, there's a difference between transition shot and, I mean, there's different levels of transition shot. There's one where we're going to bring the ball up, pass the ball across the midline, and the guy has been running in a corner, receives the ball, take catch and shoot, which is a good shot. And there's another one where you're going to dribble 3/4 of the court, stop, and shoot from three. Kind of contested, not really, but kind of. It's not a good shot.
Not the same thing. So, and like for the majority of those are defined afterwards on film, so to speak, right? Like, yeah.
I practice or on film, and sometimes you have to change the perception of the guy. And I had the conversation with our import player, like when he came in, especially on transition, where he's supposed to be very efficient on transition, going to the basket. Um, but he like it was so easy for him to get a paint touch, but he was trying to shoot out of it all the time. And you want shots at the rim, but he's more of a below the rim guy, and he was contested all the time while he has guys in the corner open. And trust me, he was like, yeah, but that's my strength. I can go to the rim on transition. I was like, yeah, for sure. You have this ability to get the paint touch, but now you have guys open in a corner waiting, and they have to receive the ball. So yeah, it's a transition shot. It's a shot at the rim. So basically, that's what you're gonna like, but it's a contested shot, and you're gonna prefer an uncontested three than a contested layup or floater or whatsoever.
For sure. You did mention that it's specific to personnel. With certain personnel not shooting their shots, do you encourage to turn those guys down, or like do you encourage them to try, like what's sort of the conversation you have about getting what's right for you?
Like, it's knowing yourself first, knowing what you can and what you can't do, um, and knowing who you play with and what division you play in. Like, if I get back to the example I was taking, our guy last year was playing in Israel. And if you know those championship, Israel is a bit less athletic than France is. So maybe in Israel he was able to finish,
Right.
but now he has to find something else. And there's some plays where guys gonna take a shot, but it's not their shot. They're open, but it's not their shot. So maybe the opponent wants you to take this shot. Okay, so keep the flow of the offense, keep the ball moving. If you feel and if you know that it's not your shot, like, there's another option. We can go to another action.
Awesome. Yeah, so we had the conversation before about transition versus playing in the half, and you've spoken a little bit, both on shot selection and playing to your strengths. What did you identify offensively in the half specifically that you wanted to attack? Were there certain players that you wanted to go at? Were there certain actions that you wanted to go to that you were trying to establish? And when you identify something like that, are you trying to run more specific plays to get to those, or are you trying to let it develop naturally?
So what we're going to develop naturally is the mismatch. Like I say, one of our core principles is to move the ball and move the body. So if they switch on a screen and we have a mismatch, whether that's down the post or a big man guarding one of our point guards or a guard, we're not going to stop, clear out everyone and play one-on-one or trying to put the ball inside where everybody can read it. So we want to attack the mismatch, but we want to keep the flow. If you know that you have a mismatch, keep the ball moving, and the guy who has the mismatch is going to have to follow the ball. Okay, because most of the time, if the ball goes on one side and there's a mismatch on the weak side, they're going to switch back. So
Right.
we ask the guy on a mismatch to follow the ball wherever it goes.
Interesting. So, like, to the trail end of my question, there are not usually specific sets that you run to get to those. It's more of the freedom of movement and moving bodies to try and help it get to the right spot.
Yeah, and we know that's part of the adjustment. We know that on certain plays they're gonna switch or they're gonna do that. If they do so, the 5 players on the court has to read it, and once there's a switch, everybody has to go to a certain place.
Gotcha.
So we can take advantage of it. And in terms of plays and guys we want to target, Blois is a great example because we're gonna play them in 2 weeks.
Right.
Championship. And,
yeah, you got them November 6th, I think I saw there.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that Johnson, who was twice the MVP over the past 3 years,
Right.
Johnson, number 2, we know that we're going to be hard on him, like on offense. We're going to make him play defense the whole game. The whole game. Whether he plays the 3 or the 4, we're going to get him guard off the ball staggers, screen the screeners. If he plays the 4, we're going to make him we're going to play him on cross screens, post ups, all that stuff, because we know for a fact that's what happened in this game. And he's been doing this all his career.
So I want to get, I'm sorry, Max, finish. I interrupted you. I didn't mean to. Sorry.
The last 5 minutes, we know he's going to get all the ball. They're going to call all the plays for him. And we don't want him to be in his comfort zone at that moment. We want him to be gassed.
Get into his body, make him play, all that kind of stuff, work harder all the way through. Interesting. So I want to definitely address that in 1 second. I'll just get to Mike's question. Mike, I don't know if you want to unmute and ask it, or if you want me to just read it out, because it looks like you're busy at a restaurant there. So Mike was asking, and I think this really ties in, is how does your shot selection vary in transition versus within the half court? And does this change over the course of the season or time in the game? Example for like a 2-for-1 at like say 33 or whatever. And then he also asked, how else are you attacking the switch? So 2 questions there for you.
Yeah. So the shot selection on transition and half court is going to vary by itself. Of course, in transition, you're going to have to adjust and read. Do you have numbers? First thing, if you have numbers, you can go, you can create, you can kick it out. It's going to lead to an open shot. If you play it well, it's going to lead to an open shot. Half court, you're going to be probably less open. You're going to have less space. It's going to be more 5-on-5, but it's not going to change dramatically. Like whether that's on transition on half court, if I have my center taking a 3-point shot, it's not going to be a good shot. And I wish we had a stretch 5, but he's not. So he has to know his strength.
I'm just going to change my question a bit here, Coach. I mean more in the context of, are you allowing transition 3s or an early pull-up 2? When are transition 3s okay for you, or early pull-up 2s? Or because some of those shots might be okay in the half court, but in transition they might be bad because it's too early. Just because they're open, are they okay with them shooting it, or when does that change in the situation? I know it's player-based, but sometimes within the flow of the game, there are rules, regulations you might put in. I'd like to know any of those you might have.
Yeah, sure. So we don't have clock restrictions, if that's your question. If you're open and you're in the shot that you constantly make, you take it. We have no, because if you refuse an open shot, 24 seconds is short. If you refuse an open shot, nobody tells you that you're gonna have a better shot later. So you have a good shot, take it. A good shot is a shot that you can make on a regular basis when you're efficient with, and obviously when you're open.
So just for the second half of his question, I'm actually going to defer that for a second because I got a little section in the video where I want to ask you about things that you're doing to prevent or punish coverages. And I think that'd be a good time to insert that question there. So my next question is one that's new to this show, but I'm actually been struggling with this for a few weeks, and a few people who do a lot of analytical stuff have sent me some really interesting articles about things. So when I do this show, a lot of the time in the preparation, I take a look at the box, obviously, and I'll read the recap and I'll try to find any information that I can find out. So 4 quarters, you're getting a box score at the end of each quarter, I'm assuming, if you're similar to what we are. What weight do you put on the stats that are on the box, and which stats stand out to you? And if you could, just because it's unique to basketball over there, talk a little bit about the evaluation number and how important or not important that is to you as well.
So for me, when I scout, the numbers are very important because it's gonna show you the trends.
Right.
Now to the players, we don't give them numbers unless it's very, very obvious. Like, let's say a guy's shot, 3-point shot frequency is 85%. We're gonna tell him.
Right.
I'm gonna tell him. But and I don't know at your level, but we have to educate guys on the stats, on the numbers. Okay. Because like for example, last week we had a terrible first half, like terrible. And we were saying, yeah, we were getting crashed on an offensive rebound. But you look at the stat sheet, the other team just had 5 offensive rebounds. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not bad. The problem is they just missed 11 shots.
Right. So, from an offensive rebounding rate, they're crushing it.
Yeah. So that's the numbers we're going to look at. We're going to look at, offensive rebound rate for the other team. And we're going to calculate the number of possession to know what rhythm we are playing in. If it's a high rhythm, low rhythm. And we look at the assist turnover ratio.
Okay, so how do you calculate the number of possessions? And the only reason that I ask this is, do you include an offensive rebound as a new possession, or do you include no, you don't? Okay, interesting. So you'll take a look at the overall amount of trips down the floor, so to speak, in terms of shots, and add in anything that you might have turned over or whatever.
Yeah, and how many shots which team took the most shot and by how much?
Okay. So,
and once again, it differs from game to game. Like, excuse me, I cut you, but
no,
from game to game. If we know that a team is killing, is one of the best in the division at second chance points, we're gonna take care. And pre-game, we're gonna talk about it. During the week, we're gonna talk about it, drill it, watch out offensive rebounds, and we're gonna make a point at with the stats at halftime. What's their rate? How many did they had? We're gonna stick to our game plan on the stats. That's the number we're gonna look at.
Right. Yeah. So, like, for an instance, I mean, Jimmy as well, and Jimmy's been on here a couple times or whatever, but like Jimmy Oakman has sent me a thing about how not all rebounds are created equal. So as for instance, in this game, when I look at this box, it's like they had a 39% offensive rebound rate. So that's really high. And for the layperson who's tuning in or watching the replay later on, so to speak, what that means is all of the rebounds that are available at your defensive end, they basically walked away with 40% of them. So when you're going into half and you see something like that glaring on the stat sheet, you mentioned that, the box score is important to you. Do you make adjustments based upon the box, and what kind of adjustments would you make? Like, if you could give us a for instance in this game.
Yeah, I don't remember this game. It was maybe a month ago, but we're gonna talk about it for sure, and we're gonna adjust. Like, first is, where does the rebound come from? Is it guards crashing from the outside? Is it big man that we can't get off the paint? We're gonna looking at that and try to adjust. Like, if it's big men that we can't move, hey, let's have some help with the guards. Maybe we're gonna have 2 men box outs. If it's guards crashing out, we're gonna say, hey, we don't want you to get off in transition before you touch your man. Take your man out of the paint. Once he's out of the paint, go out.
And for a game like this, like you mentioned to me when we were talking previously, that you're not big on making a lot of adjustments. And you said on the show too, especially early in the season, you want to build a sample size, you want to be good at your principles, etc. So those kinds of things, would you still have done in this game, or would you just be like, this is something that we're really noticing and we have to address later?
No, we would have stick to our principle during this game, because I think we were up at halftime. We were
We're up 11 actually, yeah.
Third quarter, and we got crushed within the last 5 minutes, if my memory is good. So we were about to have a great performance on the road against against the best team of the past years. So we're doing pretty good, and yeah, we want to adjust on the fly. But what I mean by not a lot of pre-game adjustment is that you have to think about, who are you doing it for?
Right.
Are you doing it for you, or to look good? Like, hey, they do this play, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that on this. If we do that, no. Are you doing it for you or for the players? You're doing it for the players, right?
Right.
So if it becomes a coaching clinic, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna feel good about yourself, but during the game, guys gonna be thinking about, oh shit, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Oh, what? And they are not spontaneous anymore. They don't play anymore. You want them to play with freedom. You want them to be good in what you implemented. You want them to be good in your principle, in your core principles, and then maybe you're gonna adjust here and there. But it's gonna be an adjustment based on personnel. Let's say we are a gap team. If we have a great shooter, like a great one, we're not gonna gap him. We're gonna try to cut him off the ball, right? We have a certain system on off the ball screen. It's kind of long to explain, so I'm not gonna get into the details. But we got certain defense on off the ball screen. Maybe on this particular guy, we're gonna follow, be into his body all the time. Okay, we're not gonna go through. We're not gonna drop. We're not gonna top lock him whatsoever. We're gonna follow him everywhere. So
Right.
this is gonna be the adjustments that we're gonna make. But we're gonna go through 2 a game maybe. We're not gonna adjust to any set. For us, the biggest adjustment is, you're not gonna guard plays. You're gonna guard actions.
Interesting.
So you want to be good at guarding actions, whether that's side pick and roll, middle pick and roll, elevator, pitch action, dribble handoff, whatsoever. So throughout the course of the 10 weeks per season, 9.5 weeks per season, at the end of it, each players need to know how to guard each action they're going to face.
Interesting.
All the plays are different, but all the plays are the same. They contain actions, and if you know how to guard actions, you're gonna know how to guard everything. Like, and we have the chance to practice a lot, and it's a year-long work. Like, you're gonna have to remind them, hey, this action, you're gonna have to face it this weekend. So let's say Wednesday morning, for example, during practice. Next Wednesday, we're going to have that. We know next week, not tomorrow, but next week, we're going to play a team that plays a lot of stack ball screen or Spain ball screen, whatever the terminology is. So Wednesday morning, next week, they're going to be guarding the Spain ball screen, the stack ball screen for like 40 minutes because we know they're going to have to face that.
So I'm making a note on that, coach, because like I like that a lot. That's something I'll implement for sure. So going back to the second part of my question, the eval number, we don't have this in North America. Do you pay much attention to it?
No, not really.
Interesting. And then the other one, like I've seen it on some boxes here in North America. It's not always up. It's actually quite a bit more common on Synergy, but on fouls, you guys actually put on your stat sheet the fouls drawn. Mm-hmm. So like as a for instance, you mentioned Tyron Johnson, number 2, and you also spoke briefly about Thomas Cornely, number 45. Mm-hmm. Between the two of them, they drew 13 fouls. So 13 of the 20 you guys committed. Do you put any weight towards this stat as to like, hey, these guys are trying to draw contact and make adjustment, or, you know, like they're being called a certain way, so let's adjust based upon the way they're being called?
Not the way they're going to be called, because you don't control that. You don't control the 3 refs that you're going to have on any nights. So we don't want to talk about the refs because we try to talk about things that we're going to be able to control. And Thomas Cornely, if you want to control the fouls drawn, you have to make him play half court first. He's a far more efficient player open court than he is half court. So that was part of the stuff. And on our side, we're going to use the foul drawn stat as how aggressive are we? Are we willing to move the ball behind the arc and don't have paint touches? It's part of the effort plays to us. So we're going to judge the effort with that. It's part of the effort stat.
So if you're low, for instance, will you run more actions to try to get you into the paint or try to punch the ball, like post the ball more? Or are you just telling your guys like, hey, we're really low on this. We're not playing the way we're supposed to be playing. This isn't our brand of basketball.
Yeah, if you combine that with 3-point attempts, if you have, let's say, 5 fouls drawn and 25 3-point attempt at the halftime, there's going to be an aggressive problem. Because you want 3-point shots. Don't get me wrong. We want it. But 3-point shots out of paint touches are far more efficient, as you know. So, I mean, at least in our division, it's like this.
No, I think that's pretty true all over.
Yeah, I think. But, you know, we are able to stay 35 seconds in the paint if we want on defense. So once the ball goes into the paint, it's going to collapse for sure.
Right.
So kick it out is an open shot all the time. So if you combine those 2 stats, at the end of the day, it's going to be how aggressive are we?
Like it a lot. So let's get into a bit of film, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask you about a few things from the game. So let's see what I got here. You're good with that size. You can see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here so that I can see you again. There we go. All right. So there's a few things in here that I noticed, and then I kind of wanted to go through the fourth quarter a bit with you, and I'll play the sound for 1 second just so everybody can take a look at how nuts it is over here. You guys, you got some fans in the stands for sure, but
our house.
And I hear you, but like I actually had to turn the sound down. I was amazed at like what you guys are drawing, and it made me happy to see. Obviously, we're pretty shut down over here, so gave me a bit of hope that this is possible again. So you mentioned your 2 coverages. So you're you could call it icing on the side here or a show and over. But really what I wanted to ask about is the point at which you're sending your guys back. So you get like your show and then he drops back. They end up actually getting the offensive rebound. But walk me through your thoughts as a coach as to how well you've executed.
Is the guard number 6 was to tell the big man to go back. And I have a problem on this instance, on this edit, because number 7 should be the one making the box out, and we call that Hulk rebound.
Right.
You box out your teammate for your teammate. It's unselfish, and it's a play that we're gonna reward in film. And in this occasion, number 7 should be boxing out, helping his teammate, and number 5 should box out, stay on. He's getting down, sitting on Johnson, number 2, and he's in a good position. But he will make the box out on Johnson, and number 7 should box out the rolling man. We call that Hulk rebound, and we drill it, but looks like we have to drill it again.
So the attack from the slot and the show and over, you're okay with at the point of the screen, the way that you guys played this and everything. And would you say that you're okay with the contest level on this shot as well?
Yeah, we can live with this shot.
Good. What do we got next here? We got straight line drive in the first quarter, just straight to the basket. It ends up being an and one. Obviously, nobody's okay with this. The reason I throw this in is just as a coaching staff, what are you guys doing? Do you just attribute this to an early season error, or are you yelling, screaming? How do you deal with something like this where everybody just kind of fell asleep?
So we're gonna deal with that by first saying, okay, number 6, the point guard, it's your responsibility. Especially with him, 45, we say we can't let him run. And so we're gonna have to explain to him that there's a difference between pressure and overpressure, especially in the full court.
Right.
So you can make pressure, especially number 6. We can tell by the film right now, but he has a big length. So he can make pressure by not being in his steps.
So you're saying 6. I know it's a little bit blurry. I apologize. I think it's 8 who's on the ball here.
It's 8? Yeah, 8. My bad. 6 is the shooter in the rim, under the rim. Yeah, it's 8, our point guard. Yeah, he's lengthy, and he should use it better. So that's the first responsibility. If there's a difference between pressure and overpressure. Now, with that said, if you rewind back a little bit, everybody sticks to his man.
Yeah.
Like number 5 should stop him. Number 7, I think it's number 7. Yeah, he should be in the gap earlier, right? Everybody sticks to his man. So that's not good team basketball.
So would the correction just be like while he's shooting this free throw, hey, come over, and a polite reminder, or would it be more in film later on type deal?
No, it's gonna be something. That's the type of things that I'm gonna write on my board and address the team during a timeout. Like maybe during the free throw, I'm gonna call number 8 and say, hey, there's a difference between pressure and overpressure. Use your length. Take a caution. Just slow him down. Don't let him get into full speed. And then at halftime, during timeout, maybe say, hey, if anyone's coming full speed into the paint, somebody has to stop him, right? We have to be in a gap. We have to see the ball and stop the ball handler. And emergency situation, if we have to switch, then we switch. But someone has to stop the ball.
The interesting thing
to me is I don't want to yell at number 8 in front of everybody, because that's a game day. It's not practice. It's game day, and you still want him to be efficient on this game. You don't want to get into an argument with him, and all of a sudden he thinks about this play, he's getting mad, and he's not thinking about playing anymore. You want to keep the positive attitude and just tell him, like, one-on-one, hey, watch out. Difference between pressure and overpressure, right? Don't want to say that in front of of the entire team and expose them.
Yeah, I think part of what we do, the art of it is, you know, you have to know who can take which kinds of comments as well, and when they can take them. So like,
Yeah,
part of the reason I asked this of you is, I mean, you had an extensive pro career and you're coaching at a pro level. And I wonder if the feedback element is the same at your level, or if it diminishes a little bit with certain players because, you know, they're like, well, I'm a pro basketball player. Like, I don't need to hear this. I know I screwed up. Let's just move on. And like, I guess it's a bit of a fine art, so to speak, right?
yeah, for sure. You have to know everyone and how everyone's going to respond. But for all the players during the games, we're not going to expose them in front of the other team, all team. We're going to do it on the film.
Right.
Okay. We're going to do it at practice for those who can respond well if they're exposed in front of the team. For those who can't, who don't accept that, who can't deal with that, we're going to tell things one on one in the fly, even during practice, like, hey, Joe, come in. I need to tell you that. Okay. Take care of that. Right. And, but sometimes, even for these guys, sometimes the other guys need you to make them understand. They need to see you saying things to some guys.
Right.
Right. So we're going to do it with the film because you can't argue on an opinion. You cannot argue numbers of film.
Right.
So if we feel that some guys are, I don't know, not happy with how a guy did certain things, and we feel like they need us to address that in front of the entire team, we're going to do it, but with the film.
Yeah. Otherwise it festers with other players. They feel like, yeah.
And you don't want that.
What do we got? Improve how? Give me an idea. There's a lot of action this team runs, so I'm curious to know what you guys think. He makes a big shot. I'll run it one more time so you can take a look at it. But are you okay overall with all of the action all the way through, so to speak? And like, is there anything you see that, hey, we kind of missed that or didn't do it?
Pose. Right here, stop. There's no pressure on the ball. Like, we have a concept. So that was I was talking about just before, talking about off the ball screen. So our principle is when the ball is in the midline, it can't stay there, right? The ball cannot stay in the midline, in the rim line. Just because if the ball and the screen are in the same side of the court, we follow, and the B is going to show up at the level of the screen to prevent the tight curl, right? And the guy who guards the passer is going to jump in a gap. If the ball is away from the midline, well, if the ball is on one side of the midline and the screen on the other side, we're going to go through.
Okay.
So right now, Marcus is definitely not in the right position. He should be putting pressure on the ball. Make him choose one side, either one. I don't care. But the ball should be on one side. It could not be on the midline. Impossible. So we should do a better job guarding the ball right here, and then communicate between 8 and 6.
He ends up chasing all the way across the floor because, like, so this switch that happens here, the switch up.
Yeah, they switched. That's because
like, how do you feel about this switch? Because, like, with the Iverson cut from 45, it ends up him having to chase across the floor. Would this?
So I know their play now. It's not supposed to be an Iverson cut. 45 is supposed to be on the free throw line. Okay, standing on the free throw line. Right, go back. Right now, it should be on a free throw line. And number 7 under the rim has the choice. He can come out either way, left or right.
Right.
Okay, 45 is gonna go opposite. Problem is on this play, same thing. We said the ball cannot be in the middle, and if a guy is under the rim, you have to push him to any side. He cannot choose. Okay, you have to prevent him one side, either one. I don't care. It's up to you. It's up to whatever you want, but you can't let him fool you going left, going right, going left, going right. And we see number 6 has not been doing the job.
Yeah, he's chasing. He's in trouble.
He's already lost. He lost the step. He's back to his players, So it forces the switch. See, there's too much airspace between him and the screener. But he's late because under the rim, he was not in the right position.
So as an emergency measure, you are okay with that switch then, though, and him having to chase across?
Especially with number 5, who is a great shooter. Great shooter.
Interesting. And then, I mean, they end up just making a pretty good shot. Like, I'm not married to the result, so to speak. You know, good for them, but the action underneath was really what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Punishing the hedge here. This is a good one I like.
It's a good shot.
So the reason for this clip, why I asked, is at this point in the game, you're still pretty early in your season, so to speak. You know, you're 5.5 minutes into your first game. That's a cup game. Did you notice that they were hedging already? And did you specifically call something to try and punish it? Or are your guys just playing here on stuff that you work out of and going at it?
Yeah, so I remember this game, and that's what we do sometimes when we scout a team that has many ball screen and or post up coverages. The first play we're gonna call is the play that first pass is in the low post to see how they guard this.
Right.
And over like the third or fourth pass, there's a ball screen in the middle just to see how they guard that. And that's what we did on the first play of the game. So we knew they were hard edging.
And you just decided to go to something to punish it, or your guys all like, hey, they're doing this, let's get it?
No, we didn't tell them because it goes back to scouting and the difference between scouting and being strong on your principles. And that's right. What we do during preseason. Like what we do on defense and what you do on offense are related. Like we want to guard actions on defense during preseason, and we want to know how to guard any actions. Same on offense. If it's a hard edge, we know how we're going to attack it, right? And in this case, one of our principles when we want to attack the hard edge, and if you rewind to the clip, is move the ball as quickly as possible behind the screen, because you have numbers, and number 6 does a great job right now giving the ball up.
Yeah, right away. You know, the advance pass and then get it in. It's great basketball for sure.
We have numbers, 3-on-2.
And then on the flip side, them punishing your show. I'm curious, do you guys typically X out and you didn't on this? Or like it's a great skip, but 2 go to the ball.
Yeah, we X out. Number 8 is supposed to go. Number 12 is going to take the guy up. Because he's in the and especially he's in the roll, and the roller takes him into the under the rim. So 8 is doing a great job. 8 is and he's in a good position. We tell the guys on the top to mirror the ball. So as much as the ball goes low, he goes low, facing it, so that every time, ever since when 23 releases the ball, he knows where it goes.
Right.
It's going to be in time. So we want him to be open at the level of the ball, which he does well. And number 12 should go back up.
Yeah. And then play after the play concepts. I was just wondering what you guys are teaching in terms of like your primary action breaks down, you get into stuff. Are you just trying to get the ball in the paint? Would you be happier seeing it go second side? What are your thoughts overall on the play after the play stuff here?
It's moving the ball. It's just moving the ball. And we drill that like early in preseason, and even during the season on some Mondays, we're going to have drills like, hey, we play free, no plays, all right? One of the coaches is going to have a whistle, and every time you keep the ball more than 2 seconds in your hand, the whistle is going to get blown, and you have to put the ball on the floor. other team's gonna go on offense. So
Right.
that's what happened. If the play is dead because of a switch, of a mismatch, we're gonna move the ball this way, and the guy with the mismatch is gonna follow the ball, like I said earlier. If not, someone has to get a paint touch to create an advantage and then play off of this advantage.
And then I'll try to go through this quickly just to be really, respectful of your time. We've got about 6 or 7 minutes left. But I mean, for this particular game, this is sort of where the key element of the game starts. And you're tied with just under 6 left and a couple plays in a row. So I'd like to hear your thoughts as to what happened and what could be done better, I suppose, from here on out. So you're tied, and what do you see? What would you like to have happened instead?
Oh yeah, I remember this game.
I mean, he makes a hard shot for sure.
Yeah, he makes a hard shot, but they went right at him. We had foul troubles, and we had guy, like I said, we were coming out of quarantine. Number 11 for us is the guy who's guarding Johnson right now on the fadeaway. He's 19 years old. He's not playing with us. He's just, yeah, he's practicing with us. That's it. And we brought him with us. As soon as he stepped onto the court, they saw that and they played on him. But we can't blame the kid on this shot. Like, just play.
No, this is a hard shot.
Play better defense before he receives the ball. If you rewind back, before, when the ball is in the wing, he's not 3/4. He should be, yeah, right now. He should be 3/4 with his left arm on the passing lane, and I don't know, the guy who is down almost under the rim should be ready to go, because that's a mismatch.
So we call this front and lob.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. Makes a hard shot. Next time down the floor,
Problem is, right now he gets into his comfort zone. Should be tougher and let him out. See, he has 3-4 dribble where he comes right next to the paint. It's a fadeaway. It's a fadeaway comfort zone. If he takes the shot, the same shot, probably 6 feet further from the basket, the percentage is going to go down.
So would you rather have your guy root him out a little bit farther away?
Yeah. And I don't know, quite honestly, he's a young guy, and Johnson is like twice MVP over the last 3 years. I don't know if he were in foul trouble, but if not, make him go down.
So this is, you guys here, gets a little bit scrambled, but if I remember correctly, you get a pretty good shot out of it here and just kind of miss. You end up going back the other way. At this point, are you still just like, we're good, keep playing, 2 down, no big deal?
Yeah.
And then they hit a big 3 here to go up 5. There's no closeouts. Do you sense momentum shifting, and what are you guys thinking in terms of how to counter it?
Well, first thing, number 7, who is the high guy behind the screen, he can't go under the free throw line. He cannot go, especially not get screened like this. It's
Right.
about toughness, and it's about holding your ground, right? You can't get screened like this. You do a good job on the ball, get rid of it, but you can't stay behind the free throw line like this. The high tag for us is just going to be responsible of a short roll or a pop. That's it.
Okay.
You cannot go under the free throw line. You have to mirror the ball in case there is an X rotation to make, but you cannot go under the free throw line.
You guys come back down. Thoughts? I think you run some pretty great action, get a good shot out of it. You miss, and then at this point, I'm wondering, like, do you feel that it's in your control to make adjustments, or are you still of the point, like, let's let our guys play and see what we can get out of it?
What do you mean by that? Should we take time out?
No, I mean, well, you can't hear right in FIBA, obviously, but like,
this stoppage.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's a point in this game here through the clips that we're going through where the score starts to stretch, obviously. Like they've gone 5 up. And in terms of the momentum, what are you saying to your guys from the bench of like, can we control the pace differently? Or are you saying something to yourself of, we're still getting good shots and it's just not going our way right now?
Right here, it's about execution. When it's not going your way, what are you gonna do? Are you trying to gonna save the thing by yourself, or are you gonna lean on our collective effort and execute? This play was not well executed, out of bounds. The shot is good because that's a great shooter, a great our best shooter coming off the screen. Uh, so it's a good shot, but the play is not well executed. If you rewind back, um, the big man is supposed to cut under the rim on the screen. He's not supposed to flare out. Number 28, right
Right?
now, he's supposed to go to the rim. He's supposed to go to the rim and be the first one under the rim on the stagger. He's supposed to be the first screener on the stagger.
Well, good recognition by your other guys to still be able to execute it then.
Yeah, which is a good point. But so it's about execution. If you want to stop the fire, execute. Do what you know you're gonna do well.
You other direction, they got nothing. You come back down here, and then they end up stealing the ball and getting the dunk. So the big question to me is, they're now up 7, under 4. Thoughts on the timeout at this point?
We have to take it. I don't know how much we have remaining, but
yeah, I can't see it anywhere. But when I watch the game, I don't recall seeing any footage in the second half of a timeout being taken prior, and you don't hear. So I was wondering if,
I don't know. But I know on this game, especially, we were pleased with this game. It's not good to lose, and I hate that. But like I said, we were coming off a week of quarantine, and we lost in the last 5 minutes against probably the best team of the division.
right?
Guys were gassed. Like there were, you see, the last play, there's a paint touch, kick it out, extra pass. We just mishandled it. Like it's some things right now who's not gonna happen. The only thing that bothers me on this play is that we had a mismatch on a big man, and we didn't recognize it. And the guy who had the mismatch didn't play it well. Coming out of timeout, they probably say, hey, we're going to switch everything. Right now, we have it. Okay, paint touch, good. But what are you doing right now? Go get the ball.
Yeah.
28. Go ask for the ball.
Seems a bit complacent. So after the dunk and not taking it, you guys inbound and you go to play. Do you practice end of game scenarios like this? Do you have a go-to play that you would typically work on? Or like at this point, is it, hey, just we have some numbers in transition, let's go get a score?
If we have numbers in this case, we're going to try to have a score. If not, we're going to give the ball back to the point. Right now, we should give the ball back to the point guard because there is no numbers, there is nothing. And on game preparation, we'll have certain plays that we want to play at the end of the game, okay, to attack the team on certain actions or certain players that we identify we're going to have an advantage on. So we probably going to say on a timeout or run. If nothing happened, let's play 2 down right, for example.
Right.
Because we knew we were going to play that at the end of the game. And once again, we don't tell the players do 2 down right because we want to play Johnson. We want to put Johnson into the screen or low post whatsoever. Because all of a sudden, what it does is that it makes them think. And you want them to think, but you don't want them to play. And if we identify something, we tell them we want to do that. They do it, and we don't have what we want. then the ball is gonna stop and it's gonna be 1-on-1.
Right.
So we're just gonna tell them, hey, we try to run. If nothing happened, let's play 2 down side of 4, 2 down right.
Right on. So I mean, it's not, you're not looking for the specific action. You know that you're going to a specific set in a and hope that it finds where it's supposed to find, as you're saying.
Yeah, and if not, keep moving the ball. Keep moving.
I think this guy kind of flops on this screen and momentum changes a little bit. And then this is.
Yeah, but spacing is not good. Like, spacing is terrible on the screen.
This, to your point about being gassed, this one play I threw in just because they end up with the 3 offensive rebounds at this point of the game. Do you think, I mean, as conditioning goes up, I anticipate a play like this wouldn't end up happening, but you end up with a couple really, really costly offensive rebounds. Do you think that's just conditioning and time off the floor at this point?
Yes and no, because that's a trend for us this year right now.
So,
unfortunately,
how would you correct it?
we're working on it right now. We're working on it. Obviously, we drill that, we show it, we drill it. It's not a rebound, is not a one-on-one thing, and we have to make them understand that. Lose the habit of when the shot goes up, your head's going up. No, the shot's going up, you're going into the body of your man. And if not, if your man is not around, if you're tagging a roller like we saw previously, get into his body. It's
Right.
not a one on rebound, is not a one-on-one stuff. It's a collective effort, and we reward that. If you block someone else, man, you're gonna be rewarded.
Appreciate. So this one, I mean, it's, you get a great shot, you end up missing, and then the last one is the thoughts on the timeout after this. If I remember correctly, he makes a really hard layup, and you go to 9, and then this, in my opinion, with the straw.
You should never have the ball in this position. See where he gets the ball?
Yeah, I mean, he's
right
in the
now.
21 spot.
Right now, we don't fight. There is no way you can receive the ball here. Like, it's a fight previously, and players gonna say, "Oh, he made a tough shot. I had my hands up." Yeah, right, but he received the ball too easily.
Yeah.
Like, you guard your man before he has the ball.
It's already in the paint. It's already over for you, basically.
Yeah.
But then this is basically the one that, you know, I call it the straw that breaks his back, so to speak, or whatever. I think the momentum, all the air goes out of the ball at this point on this this made 3. How do you feel about the level of contest on it? What could be done better?
Number 4 is not in the position. Number 4 should be go back a little bit right now. I don't know why he's coming to help. Like, the point guard is not beat. Don't over help. We are a gap team, but don't over help. If you're over help, someone is going to be open, right? And we're not beat. Look at the angle of the attack. 45.
Yeah, it's going out. I agree. It's going out of the paint.
Out of the paint. His attack is out of the paint. If he makes a shot right here over 1 foot, hey, congratulations, right? But you cannot leave your man open like this. You cannot. You just can't.
Well, I mean, that's it for me. It's what I got in terms of clips. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate sharing this with you, man. I was super excited to do this with you, get some international basketball in. I'll do a little blurb just before I give you your little outro piece and a special thank you. I'll just say, you know, a huge thank you to the network of coaches that Rising Coaches provides, obviously, to be able to do stuff like this and chop it up with other coaches and get better. And then Max, I know you guys are playing tomorrow, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this while you're in season, while we're back to it, etc. I mean, obviously it gives me a bit of hope to see people playing basketball again, but like, you know, to be able to do this, I really appreciate you sharing, lending your perspective of how things are done in France, etc. And then, I mean, lastly, obviously tune in next week if you get a chance. I do this every Friday morning at 10 a.m. And we got Ben Saunders from the Windy City Bulls next week doing a G League game with us. All coaches are welcome to join in. If you're watching this, just message me for the Zoom link. But Max, super appreciative, man. I really enjoyed chopping it up with you. For those of you who don't know, Max and I are in a WhatsApp group together, and we just do stuff like this all the time where we talk about things that people did wrong or did right, et cetera, and what we liked and what we didn't. So this to me is how I get better. So thanks so much for taking the time, man.
No, thank you, man. Thank you for setting up all of that. And quite honestly, during the quarantine, we had a couple of maybe 3 months of quarantine here, and Rising Coaches was the best thing I did in the time. And we were everybody's talking about taking advantage of the time off, and Rising Coaches was like the best thing I did during this quarantine for sure, and get to know you and all the other guys and the guys from the group and all that stuff. It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate it, because like I've said, I'm sure Rising Coaches appreciates that comment, but what I mean by what I appreciate is just like coaches like you being able to share the game. There's incredible coaches on this call right now that aren't always saying stuff, but they hang out and they talk afterwards, for those of you who are catching the replay. And like, this is how I get better. I love it. Just like you said, this was the best thing that I did during quarantine. I think for those of you who don't know, France is a country that is really big on coaching certifications. So when somebody like Max is saying what a good resource it is to be able to hang out, like it really is from an educational standpoint. So definitely a glowing recommendation there. But, more so than anything, I tip my hat to coaches like you who are willing to share the time and share the game. So I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, we can all learn from each other, and that's a pleasure. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you. I'm going to stop the recording there. Tune in next week for Ben Saunders from the Windy City Bulls.